What's up, everyone? This is my third time recording this. I'm gonna make this really fast. I want to get this video out there. The NFL draft is over and the Eagles made their picks, so I wanted to take a second to look at each one and let you know what I think of them. The first guy off the board is Andre Dillard. This was my dude. This was the guy that I wanted them to take. I was hoping they would take a tackle. I really love Jason Peters. He's the bodyguard, but he's 37. At some point, you gotta hand it over. You gotta hand it over to someone else. So I'm really glad they got him. I like him because I like Andre Dillard because he looks calm. He never looks like he's in trouble. He can eye one defender while actually blocking another. He's just got elite awareness. He can have the defender that he's supposed to be blocking drop back into coverage. He can look over, see what's going on with the rest of his line, and then he comes back and he can actually still make the block on that guy he was originally supposed to block. So he's the next man up to block for the Eagles for the next decade. Fantastic. The one thing that I see, which really isn't that big of a deal, is he needs to work on setting up blocks with screens. When he gets into the next level, he needs to work on setting up blocks. He can definitely over pursue. But the Eagles don't run many screens, although that might change with their next selection, Miles Sanders. This was a guy who I was not really thinking about. I didn't want the Eagles to take a running back, and I actually explained that in my last two videos. But the Eagles had, before this draft, Jordan Howard, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, and Josh Adams. And out of all these guys, Josh Adams was actually kind of like, he had really nice jump cuts. I've seen him, for a big guy, for a tall guy too, I've seen him make really nice cuts. He did kind of jump around a little too much. With Clement and Smallwood, they seemed to almost, when they would approach the line and they would try to juke people out, it almost seemed like they wanted to juke the guy so he would fall out of their way, instead of juking in one direction or faking in one direction and then going in, and then cutting in the other. So Miles Sanders can definitely make people miss. He's an open field runner. He's very definitive on his jukes, on his cuts. Once he makes the move, he goes in the direction he really wanted to go. He's got a very twitch type juke, and he definitely has nice speed after that, running a 4.49. And he's an all-in blocker. I love that. He gets low. He's an all-in blocker. He makes really nice chip blocks. He's really an all-around back. My biggest issue with him, and this is why I wanted the Eagles to wait until next year to take a running back. And I wanted them to try to get somebody like a Kareem Hunt, someone like a Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott, someone who's big, who's got speed, who can catch, who can stay on for all three downs. He's gonna break ankles, but he's not gonna break tackles. And people might actually be able to take him down with one-arm tackles. He's a strong runner, but he's not at the level of physicality that I'd like him to be. Jordan Howard is gonna be sort of like the workman, the bell cow. The Eagles press conference validated exactly what I was thinking about Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard is not going to, he is going to succeed in the Eagles running game, but he's not going to be that Jordan Howard that we saw his first 2 years. He's just not going to be that guy. So him and Miles Sanders are nice contrasts, and Sanders is definitely an upgrade from Smallwood and Clement. I think Smallwood is going to prove to be a more physical runner this year than Sanders, but Sanders on the field with Jordan Howard is definitely going to be a mismatch. And they have got tons of weapons this year to just confuse teams so badly. And they have depth, which moves me to their next pick, the second pick of the second round, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. This guy is another Alshon Jeffrey. And something that actually surprised me, I didn't realize this. I knew he had some speed, but he actually ran the same 40 time as Miles Sanders, although it was at his pro day, so you can't you don't have the same environment timing these guys, but still pretty impressive. So what I like about him is, yeah, he's very similar to Alshon. He can go up and make contested catches. He's got that big body. He's a big body receiver, but he has the speed to threaten to go, on a go route. And then if someone plays a little bit off, if he has that, if he's running an option route, he can stop or maybe make a quick out, something like that, and boom, he can cut you up underneath. Which they've already got Nelson Aguilar and they've got Deshaun Jackson to stretch out the field. And with two tight ends, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, it's just ridiculous. You just don't know where the ball is going to go in this offense because you can still have Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders both running routes. You don't know where the ball is going to go. And I like that Carson Wentz can improvise. That's one of the biggest things, one of the biggest issues I have with one of their later picks that I'm going to talk about in 1 second, maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds. So, moving on from Arcega-Whiteside, everyone knows the criticism of him. He's a tall guy. He's a big body receiver. He's not really going to separate that well. He's going to have to develop better route running, which I think he will. I think he'll almost be somewhat comparable to how Julio Jones is at this point in his career. I think he's going to get better with time. I think he wants to. When you watch this guy talk, actually when you watch any of these guys talk, it just seems like the Eagles knocked it out of the park with these first 3 picks. These guys seem like they're team players, they're not selfish, and they just want to keep improving. Now, the next 2 picks I was a little frustrated with. So I wanted the Eagles to take an offensive tackle the first round, which they did. Thank goodness. I hated that they had to give up a 4th and a 6th because I loved having more picks in this draft, especially after following the last draft. But you got to move up and take him ahead of Houston, which is fantastic because my buddy loves Houston. So it was just perfect to see that happen. So they don't have that many picks left. I wanted them to take Nasir Adderley, and I was one of those guys that was really big on Hakeem Butler. I just loved seeing his highlights and just completely ignored his lowlights, which he can definitely work on, but we'll see if that happens. They didn't draft him, so let's not talk about him in this video. I really wanted them to take Nasir Adderley, though. He's a man after, I don't know why I just did this. He's a man after my own heart, coming from the same college. But anyway, so they didn't take those guys. They went with a defensive end, Sharif Miller. This guy's explosive, but that's kind of it. He's explosive. On his plays, he just, a lot of times he seems complacent. He just seems like a guy who's not finishing the play. He's almost like waiting for the running back to come through the gap. It just seems like he's complacent on a lot of plays. Another thing is that he needs to develop better hand technique, because right now he just seems like he's relying on his power and his shiftiness to win against tackles, and that's just not going to do it. You need to come with a bevy of weapons to be able to compete at the next level, or else you're just going to end up being a backup, and then you're just not going to be on the team after a while. And then if you get lucky enough, maybe you'll be I don't know, an assistant coach or something like that. Another thing is he needs to get lower. He needs to have a lower center of gravity. He can definitely be held up, not completely just stern held up, but he isn't really able to. He's not able to, if he's up here, he's not going to do much. He won't be able to rip. He's not going to be able to shift the weight of the tackle. He's not really going to be able to do much. So he's just going to try and bull rush him, and then that's pretty much it. And then just try to juke him out, fake him out, which you just can't win with those two moves. It's just not going to happen. But let's see what Philip Daniels can do with him. Let's see if he maybe can turn him into something I haven't really seen, Josh Sweat. So I don't know how that's going to go. But when I look at their defensive ends, I see Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett. I don't know what's going on with Chris Long at this point. But you still have Vinny Curry, which is nice. So you've got a little bit more depth. I'm just not seeing the rotation available on the defensive line that you would have seen before. Hopefully Tim Jernigan can stay healthy, and then at least the middle part of that defensive line will just be stupid. So brings us to the last pick, Clayton Thorson. I don't know, man. I was really liking the draft, the first pick, and then I liked the draft of the next two picks, and then the last two picks, I was just like, what the? I don't even know. I don't even know why they did this. He's accurate, running to the left and throwing. That's pretty awesome. That's it. When I watch his tape, he will watch the same receiver and then throw to him with a defensive back like 5 feet away. It's what? Like, why? I get that they're afraid that Wentz is gonna have injury issues, but come on, like if you really think they're gonna draft a quarterback and then if Wentz gets hurt, that quarterback is gonna step in. Unless it's somebody like Drew Lock or up, that's not going to happen. Nate Sudfeld is going to be the guy to step in. And I don't care what anyone says, that's what's going to happen because they actually like Sudfeld a lot. This just didn't make sense why they needed a linebacker. They need maybe develop get a safety and develop him. Like I just didn't understand this pick. Like this just seemed ridiculous to me. Anyway, that's it. That's my video. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll get back to you guys later with more grades on other teams later in the week.